If there is a God, he will help me play this game. Oh, okay. I spent 6+ hours sitting at my computer trying to make this work. At first, it was loaded to the epilepsy warning, but no further. So I searched for a solution. I verified files, reinstalled the game, and just once was able to get it to load far enough to view Hogwarts Invitation, upon which it crashed immediately. I have uninstalled and installed numerous graphics drivers, turned off every possible overlay I could, and even had a Microsoft agent share my screen so she could help me completely reset Windows 10. Jesus Christ. After waiting 2 or more hours for that install, I am still left with a game that stays on the epilepsy warning for 5 minutes just to crash again. This is a cry for help, but let's actually play this to see if we get the same problem. Oh, it even tells you right here. A small percentage of individuals may experience epileptic seizures. Oh, that's the seizure sign she was talking about. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so when we try, ours gets right past it. So that was the seizure sign, but theirs crashes right after. So where it goes to the preparing shaders for us, theirs crashes. So let's think about that. So if it crashes immediately, that means that it's unable to prepare shaders because that's the next screen. So if that's the case, then yeah, they're right about that. That's going to be more than likely a driver issue. Alrighty, so when going back over this video, there are a few things that I've noticed. One, I did make a comment that this sounds more like it would be a software issue. That does sound to be about right. If you are trying to load the screen and it immediately takes you to a shader problem and it freezes or it kicks you out of the screen, that generally means that either A, the game itself was corrupted, or B, it may mean that the shaders themselves are having some issues trying to pull themselves and actually prepare. So typically that would happen and it kick you out the game when it's unable to actually access the file in order to pull in the shaders. So that typically means that maybe there may be permission issues with the drive, or that the drive itself is corrupted. You may want to try to install it on a different drive, any drive, I don't really care. You can try, if you have a thumb drive that's big enough, I would try to install it on a thumb drive that's, I think the game is around 38 gigs. Try to install it on a thumb drive, or try to install it or on a different drive to see if that helps with the situation. But this is only addressing the situation where the game completely kicks you out before it even starts. So it also make sure that your firewall settings are disabled, as well as your Windows Defender or Windows Antivirus software. Make sure that is also disabled. Those are typically going to be your main ones that can affect this. Be sure to also uninstall and reinstall the game. And if you're also having issues, be sure to repair the drive. See if that actually works from Steam. So that's basically just going into the settings and try to do a repair. If it fails and gives you an error, then that means that there may be some permission issues there on that particular drive, in which case you would want to go ahead and install to a different drive. 16 gigs versus 32 gigs. What? Notice how the 16 gig stutters and the 32 gig doesn't. No, it doesn't. It improves, yes, but stutters are there all the time. 32 gigs if you're in 4K. If you're in 1080p, RAM users never hit 16. I've been playing 20 hours now in 1080p ultra settings mix, and my total RAM usage is on an average of 12 to 13 gigs on some occasions. It gets to 15 briefly, but majority of the time chart shows 12 to 13. 1440p users also reported only a minor bump in RAM usage, making 16 gigs still doable, but far closer to the max line where additional harsher stutter can still occur. It's only once you go to 4K where the game will chew up and spit out 20 gigs plus, making 16 gigs unusable if you're at that resolution. Okay, challenge accepted. Stutters either way will still be present, at least at a minor level, because the current micro stutter everyone gets is related to either way the game streams and assets for some new areas, or the pre-shader compiling doesn't do its job to the fullest. Yeah, it definitely sounded more like a manufacturer issue or a company issue than it does sound like anything else. This is not a memory leak. It was simply a low memory, slow paging access problem. Running 1440p. How much memory does this guy have? Task manager. More details. Performance. This guy has 32. Settings. Okay, so we're at 3200 by 1800, which is why it's a small screen. Let's try to go to 4K. Alrighty, while I fumble around this screen because that's my first time playing this game, I did notice a few things when it came to the high memory situation. So if you see here, I am actually changing the resolution from 3200 by 1800, don't ask me why I was like that, to 4K. But in changing it to 4K, what we actually notice here is that in doing so, it made the RAM utilization all the way to 10 gigs, which is insane. So for the fact that it actually went to 10 gigs is extremely high, very, very high for this particular game. And we're not even playing it. Okay, so they're not lying. All right, so it's hovering around 10, and that's at the startup screen. So it hasn't even gotten into anything crazy. This is in the actual startup screen after you choose your character. We haven't even started the game yet. So that literally lets us know that you're going to be somewhere between 10 at the minimum to 20. Now, I did notice that if I left the game alone, or if I minimized the game, or if I wasn't playing the game and it kind of went to sleep, it did utilize less RAM. So it appears that it may be reserving more RAM than actually using RAM. Neither here nor there though, because it still is taking 10 gigs. So if you are running this, trying to run this game on PC and you run at 8 gigs or 16, then you may actually have a problem if you try to run at 4K. So if you do run into this situation and you are running at 4K, be sure to change the resolution down to 2K or 1080p in order for it to utilize less memory, because you have memory limitation here. So if you are seeing micro stuttering and you do have 16 gigs of RAM or you do have 8 gigs of RAM, that more than likely is going to be the problem, or lesser settings. So I'll be sure after this stream that we go ahead and make a video so that people understand exactly what's going on with it, and then we kind of go from there. But that's actually good information, so we'll go ahead and move back. Tricks to fix the PC issue. So they have some tips and tricks, but they didn't really say anything. Less than ideal state. The fix has been a boon for many fans frustrated over Hogwarts PC port. They purchased a deluxe version. Reviews are largely positive. That is not to say that the game is extremely free from problems. A post on Reddit has ailed many players' performance woes in the PC version of the game, with frame rates dipping into the single digits already. And for this one here, there is a post that actually talks about hardware acceleration and turning off a few features to see if that would actually help for a frame rate dip. Now, this is going to be a little different than the micro stutters. And this is also going to be different than actually kicking you out of the game during start. Those are two totally different issues. This is basically just frame dips during the game. There are a few things that you can actually try that this particular user posted. I'm not going to say his name because his name is Cray Cray. So what he actually wrote here was PC performance tips. This got rid of low FPS dips for me and my friends. Essentially what he meant was enable hardware acceleration GPU scheduling. I had turned this off because it caused issues in another game. I can't remember which one. Windows search for GPU to find the setting and restart is required. So this is actually located under your settings, system display, and then graphic settings. And then you want to toggle on hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. And Windows 11, and that was in Windows 10, but in Windows 11, it's going to be settings, system display, graphics, and then change default graphic settings and enable hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. So when you make those particular changes there, that should at least help with the low FPS. And they also said that you can also navigate to the app data local Hogwarts Legacy saved file and then make changes within the save file here to see if that actually makes a difference. And they also mentioned that this applies to NVIDIA users. Set the shader cache size to be 10 gigs in the NVIDIA control panel global 3D settings. It's asking you to make that change in the global settings, which means that it will affect any game that you actually run in the future. You can go ahead and try this to see if it actually makes a difference if your issue is low frame rates. However, please be warned that after playing this particular game, you might want to change that back just so you don't run into issues in further games.